Welcome to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Last episode we saw the formation of Honey, a country south of Dark Magenta. We saw the country Pastel Green form near Beige, and also the country Light Pink joining in between Green and Cyan. Dark Blue got much more land as they infiltrated Silver and annexed it completely. And at last, but certainly not least, the country Peach has not only made trade routes in this area, not only an alliance, an economic alliance, but also an own religion with these three other countries. But let's take a look at these further events of the world. We now go back to the place where the last large war ended, here with Magenta. Magenta is now in the Triangle Alliance. It is an alliance here in Europe, and they all are here for their own support, for each other's security, defense as well, but Magenta is looking more to another neighbor, and they want to be on the same page again with Orange. They were very good friends. They made trade routes with one another, they traded with one another, they helped each other out. Well, Magenta helped out Orange when they were in the puppet state from Brown, but they never got something back when Magenta needed it. There's also a divided population, as the West is mostly supporting, well, helping Orange, or just go with the same ideas to have a closer relationship again. But the West and the King is definitely against it. And then the King noticed that this settlement right here is trading with the one in Orange. And the King is completely against that. Orange didn't help them at all. I don't want anything to do with it anymore. With the country up north, I don't want my people to do it with any more longer. The King of Orange certainly knows that he is trading, well, some of his people are trading with Magenta, and he is neutral, as he knows that what the other king never did. Of course, this is also a new king since the war. He knows that they never did something for Magenta. And these two are just looking at each other and they don't know what to do with one another anymore. They were good friends, but not so anymore. And specifically, these two settlements traded with one another, as there used to be a trade route right there. But when Night Blue and Dark Red were around here, they destroyed it, and it was never back up, it was never built again, but the King doesn't want it. But eventually, he gets news from Reddish Pink, and says, hey, we have to build that trade route again. That would benefit us, that would benefit you. But the King is like, no, I'm not building this trade route. I don't care what Orange can do with it. I don't care what you can do with it. I don't want anything to do with it. With it, I mean Orange anymore. So this is a very tense situation. Not a war, quite not even close to it, but still a very uneasy one to look at. Back here with the three countries, Peach, Light Cyan, Violet and Mustard. They all are in an economic alliance, as I told before. But now they are starting even something else. They know that they can support each other with economics, but also military-wise. So they are gonna start a new alliance. Light Cyan is now the first to come up with this idea, and they make the Parallelogram Alliance, but more like the Democratic Alliance. We see Violet join this alliance. We see Mustard join this alliance, but also, of course, Peach join this alliance. And they are the, well, part that made this idea into Light Cyan's head. We all know that these four countries in total have a good relationship with one another. And that the three kings right here are very good, and they support the idea of Peach. But most importantly, all the civilians really like the idea what Peach is doing. And they are going to vote. People are going to vote if this democratic idea is going to spread in their country, that they can vote for a specific leader. First, Light Cyan. The vote turns out to be 30-70. So 70% wants a democratic leader. So we see the king stepping down and a new leader getting elected by the people themselves in every province. They can vote and one with the most votes gets elected. And now Violet, their votes turned out to be 40-60, so 60% wants to be a democratic country. So also this is going through. The king steps down and Violet is now also an elected leader. But Mustard, their votes are exactly 50-50. One half of the civilians of Mustard doesn't want an elected leader. They like the king, they support it very well. They don't want it to be gone. They love the family that's ruling it. But the other 50% does want an elected leader. So sadly, Mustard has to go with this for now to still have a king, but 2 other countries are now democratic. And slowly but surely this news is going to spread westward. But now let's take a look at how these countries are all going to expand a little bit more. First we see Peach adding this to their country. And we see Light Cyan adding this, making their border very large together. Violet now isn't really able to go south, now isn't able to go north. And they really wanted to do, so they go to Light Cyan and ask if they can expand their border a little bit more in this area, what they were actually going to do before Light Cyan did it. And Light Cyan is like, oh, of course, we can go much more north if we want. You can take that part. And this is the part they wanted, and they get it. But they are also going to expand a little bit more south. But Violet is after that going to stop, as they don't really care about too much expanding. And their new border will look like that. And now the last country, Mustard. And they expand only this, as a country south of them recently got the news that Mustard was going to expand. How does Lavender know that so sure? Well, and they quickly go to the race. They are going to enter the Himalayas. They never really did that before, so that's why this really weird border looks like that. But Lavender now is taking it up on themselves to go north and finally surpass the big Himalayas. The first expedition goes like that, and a small one right here as well. They go even further and do it like that. Another expedition, and after that, quickly another one. Lavender is now bordering Violet, and Mustard is now not able to go anywhere anymore. And quickly Mustard get the news towards these other 3, and they know that this world threat is now south of them. And Lavender even goes that far that they meet up with the border of Peach. Eventually, it is pretty clear that there are many more countries here than Lavender actually knew there was. And the news, well, does spread here, and it goes to Red, the colony here, but it also sadly goes to Slate, and when Slate actually has more proof than ever that the country Peach does exist, it is going to be a very big campaign for Slate, as many people were starting to wait when they could expand their border, and one of the largest campaigns ever of Wixo history right now is going to take place. Slate is going to the west. We first see them connecting up with the border of Lavender so that they cannot go any more further. They are done with her neighbors Lavender. They go that far that they are right here. Then they go back and they go inlandwards. The border quickly enlarges and they are going to be very big. Near Korea here, they are also going to thicken their border more and going more west. And finding that country, Peach, and starting to border it. And they now do border Peach, as more and more people are helping this expedition. Slate is growing rapidly. They are growing humongously and all the people are in favor. Even the other governors here in the south. But not everyone here in Slate is that in the favor of this large, very large campaign. As the people here in the Philippines and Indonesia are for sure not really happy what the northern people are doing. They say that this is ruining their empire, but when they say that, it's far too late. And Slate is bordering not only all of Lavender, but all of Peach in the south. Their border is huge, and they are now the largest country in the world, but maybe closely tied with Lavender as well. The last two expeditions are done, and Slate is huge. It's humongous. And let's take a look at some more cities that popped up here in these 4 countries. Light Cyan has 3 here in the east. Peach also has 1, but a couple more here in the new area. Violet has 1 in the area that they wanted from Light Cyan, and 2 in the south. Lavender got 3 right here, and 2 right there. Not many in this area, but many started to grow as well near the border of Mustard and Pastel Orange. Even in this older area, cities are going to grow. But the same for Slate, as they gain a lot as well. 19 cities. Or well, I call them cities in this series, but I mostly mean big settlements, as really cities don't really exist as of now. But also here in Japan, 3 started to pop up, and here as well. The border with Lavender and Slate is huge. It's humongous. One of the largest borders with 2 countries on this world map. But that's enough for these 2 countries for now. As we go overseas to the colony of Lavender. The people of Olive, they are done with the occupation of Lavender. People are going to rise up against their leader, and they know the Lavender isn't as powerful anymore since the downfall what happened here in Europe. Lavender and the whole World Destroyer Alliance since then became really quiet, and Olive wants their independence again. It begins here in the capital of Olive. The capital of Olive is the first to rise up. Olive is done, and they want Lavender to be gone. If you look province-wise, well, there are no provinces anymore, as what they were before completely was destroyed by Lavender. But the most northern tip is slowly getting the idea to fight back after so long. And this doesn't go that easily for Olive though, as Lavender does fight back, but there were not many soldiers here in the tip of Africa, as the most were here, right here where the new borders are created, and many near Slate, as Lavender is really thinking that Slate is going to attack in the near future, so they don't really had Olive in account, but they didn't expect that at all. They do fight a little bit more back, and the capital is in the half of the hands of Lavender again, but Olive is done. And many more people are going to rise up, as many people from around the puppet state are now getting the news that rising up is the right thing to do. And also this most southern settlement and their area is going to rise up, but also the one in the west. It is very hard for Lavender to maintain this. Very hard for the governors to maintain this. Especially for the governor that maintained this part of Olive. Well, it is so hard for him because he never actually joined the side of Lavender in this protest. The governor itself is fighting against Lavender. And he quickly says to his people that being governor is no more, but being a king is. And suddenly, from in more areas, Olive is getting their land back. Slowly, every settlement supports this idea of fighting against the evil, the World Destroyer Alliance. Eventually, the whole western province is taken by the Olives back in their hands. The coastline also is very in favor of this idea. The southern parts are doubting, as they don't want to get killed by Lavender troops that are now entering inside this puppet state. Sadly, this settlement is in the hands of Lavender again. And then Lavender even has some boats on this island, and they send it to the tip of Olive. And when Lavender thinks that they are going to win this, something popped up at their doorstep, what even Olive was not prepared for. Purple and Dark Blue had a fleet, a small fleet of ships, and they landed in this settlement of Lavender. Both Purple and Dark Blue were working with each other here in the north. They were setting up a plan to strike Lavender back after all these years of being threatened by them. Genocide was played. Many land was taken. They were done with it. And when Olive was striking, Dark Blue and Purple were both in the favor of attacking Lavender now. Quickly, Purple got a major part here in the north and cut it off from the rest. They got to this settlement and got it in their hands. Dark Blue fought alongside and went downwards in the coast. And this is when Lavender was now calling out for the other World Destroyer members, Red and Yellow. Not so for Beige, as they knew that if Beige was going to call out, that not many troops were going to, well, enter Lavender's forces. When finally the news was reached to Red, Red did help Lavender, and some troops arrived eventually, together with some Yellows. Also from Madagascar, troops started to arrive right here. Quickly, Blue got attacked right here on the coast, but they got their part back and even some more. Purple started to focus on the border around Olive, as they wanted to free Olive as well. And when they almost got Lavender off, Olive did the last part, and now Olive slowly started to get back. This settlement was back in the favor of Olive. The tip was back, as no more troops started to arrive in the tip. And why? Both Purple and Blue arrived back at the island, right where they were years and years ago. And after a very brief fight, what Olive didn't expect, they really expected a very long fight, the puppet state was over and Olive was back. And now that Olive was a proper state again, they were going to help Purple and Dark Blue. Blue was fast at taking the second settlement on this coast of Lavender, and Lavender was slowly sending troops of their mainland, as they knew Slade wasn't going to attack yet, and they for sure mostly knew that Dark Blue or Purple wasn't in touch with Slade. So there was not going to be a counterattack right here if the troops were going to leave. Troops finally arrived after a large amount of time, but then already Blue was much further south and almost at these two settlements. Purple as well got a major part of this front and got even more north. When all the troops arrived and Red and Yellows were going to fight alongside Lavenders, they thought they were going to win this after all. But they were wrong. Lavender, Yellow and Red were all so wrong. As Beige attacked Lavender, they secretly opted out of the World Destroyer Alliance because they joined the Shield Pact. And with this, the Fourth Great War began.